Hello and welcome to the Portal panel. This is the Portal Gatherings podcast that we do monthly. And today we are so happy to have Dr. Janet Bieschke and Gerardo Urias with us, who are both experts on transformation and death and have written books and led workshops. And these people are super fascinating. So you're going to love it. Dr. Janet, do you want to take a minute and quickly introduce yourself and your partner in crime there?
Well, I'll start with the person who I hold responsible for. Richard brought me into the dance world, my late husband, and the very first person I met was Przemysław Matrinsky.
Whoa, you say my name very correctly. Look at you.
And he has totally transformed my life. He's brought the movement of dance into my physical world, my emotional, my mental, my just even spiritual well-being side of it. So yeah, he challenges me, he pushes me, he has so much patience. I have none. So yeah, you're right. There were 7 people that disappeared from my life in a very short amount of time, and it was dance that brought me back into living the movement of that. Do I hear the song now?
No, that was just echo from Carlos.
Okay. Anyway, so we can get into all of that later, but yes, this is my partner in crime. You read the book, you've translated the book, so you know how important he's been to probably every part of my still being alive and being here and continuing to dance.
You make me cry. Don't make me cry. Yeah.
It's true. I have to tell you, as her friend, that you do give her energy for life. It's really, thank you. But that's awesome and so nice to meet you, Przemek. I've never spoken to you before, but I've heard a lot about you.
Nice to meet you too. Yes.
All right, let's move on to our next panelist, which is Gerardo Urias.
You keep going. Yes.
Yeah,
I have all my things. A lot of things to do. Yes.
All right, let's move on to Gerardo. He can tell us more about what he's doing. Sorry, the lights were doing crazy shit.
Crazy shit. Thank you so much for having me. I'm honored to share my story and honored to be a part of this portal group. It's beautiful. I'm Gerardo Urias in Spanish. I am the author of Taking Back My Mind, My Journey Out of Depression and Psilocybin Mushrooms, which documents exactly that, how mushrooms saved my life 7 years ago from a really debilitating depression. Ever since I started this path, I've gotten deeper and deeper into the path of plant medicine, transformation, shamanism. Over the last few years, I was inaugurated as a curandero, a shaman in Oaxaca, where I currently live and host retreats and ceremonies and doing all kinds of healing for all kinds of people. So this topic is especially near and dear to my heart, the topic of death. It's something that I have studied a lot and one of my favorite things to talk about. So really excited for today's panel.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Perfect. Well, I can't wait to hear what your presentation for today that you both prepared or are presenting for Dia de los Muertos. So today is the special portal panel for October, which is the month of Dia de los Muertos. And so we're very, very lucky to have these 2 experts here with us. So I guess what we're going to do is first we're going to hear from Dr. Janet and then Gerardo. But Dr. Janet, I want you to really hone in and focus on how the transformation occurred after your tragic losses. And maybe, I know your story because I translated your book, but these people, the listeners, they don't know anything.
If I just very briefly touch on that, very briefly. Yeah. 6 months before COVID hit our world, our 24-year-old grandson committed suicide. I think he just locked up. So
we're back.
Anyway, that was pretty tragic. He doused himself with lighter fluid to let himself on fire, and at 24, that was probably a shock that none of us were prepared to deal with. At the very beginning of COVID, my husband had a massive heart attack and died. I had buried, well, we couldn't bury him right away because of all of the COVID concerns and kids flying and getting home. So fast forward, we had his service, outdoor service on his mother's birthday, end of September. 2.5 months later, my daughter called from the hospital letting me know that she had just been diagnosed with acute myeloid leukemia. Within 7 weeks, she was dead. 2 days later, my younger sister took her own life. So we'd never had a suicide in our family, and all of a sudden we have two. They were both cremated on the same day. Best friend, my sister-in-law, literally 7 people within 2 years. And I really want to just skim over the top of that because it left me angry when I couldn't be with, I couldn't be with any of them. And I had worked with hospice for 13 years prior. My main goal was to be with people who are actively dying because I thought no one should die alone. I really believe that. Anyway, so here I was, and out of 7 people, I only was able to say goodbye to one. And it left me angry, it left me frustrated, it left me empty. With COVID, we shut down everything, our churches, our organizations, our friendships, we were extremely careful and everyone was believing we can't have any contact, so we didn't, and it left me angry. But to fast forward, my husband had bought a pair of social dance package when I was going to retire. That had been years earlier. We went one time, neither one of us. It was not our thing. We did not like it. So we didn't go. We didn't go back. We did other things. And after he had been dead 2.5, almost 3 years, I came across the lessons and I thought, maybe just to get me out of the house, I would go. So I went down, I took a lesson, and I met this wonderful man that you just met. He was from Poland, actually new from Poland. And he was just my connection from my husband, from my daughter. Did you lock up? No. Anyway, so he brought me into a world without knowing it, without having any idea how much of an impact that he had upon my life. And literally, I didn't want to be here, did not want to be alive. So I will say that probably every transformation that we have, every big transformation in our life begins with a loss. It doesn't always have to be death. Sometimes it's retirement, sometimes it's a change. But I think when the life we know comes to an end, or it changes and the person we are is no longer there and available for our comfort zone, that's really where we have the opportunity to start with our transformation. And sometimes we go through it gently, and sometimes we get dragged through the mud, and we literally find the process that I discovered that when everything around us feels broken, there is an opportunity within that to still find life, to find growth, to find joy. I had not laughed. I had not smiled. I was a walking zombie. And I would have been the first one to say that I was just waiting for it. It's like, what the hell do you want, God? What else can you possibly do? Why her? Why my daughter? Why not me? I was angry. And I think there was that part of me that was still whispering, but I'm still here. I don't want to be here. There's no part of me feels alive, but somewhere in here, the body was saying, I'm still here.
I think that's the key thing. That's what Gerardo was struggling as well. When he had his father's death, he came into this deep depression that it felt like there's no way out, right? That's how you were feeling, like you wanted to get out of Earth because there was no point in living, right? Uh-oh, is my internet messing up?
And you know, when you lose a parent, that's part of you. That's where you come from. And there sometimes are no words for that. Is he there?
Yeah.
Can you hear?
Yeah, I can hear.
Okay.
So
And
do you want to
courage.
Do you want us to continue with your story for a few more minutes? You have more to share with us?
You can jump in wherever. I will say transformation begins at the point where loss leaves us.
Oh,
And
right. You were going to tell us how Przemek actually transformed your grief into joy.
he did it sometimes by something as simple as saying, let's dance. When I came here, I was able to literally step out of that world. Oh, the first year, one of the things they do on the dance floor, protocol, when you step on the dance floor, you either have your arm tucked in theirs or they hold your hand. The first time he reached over and took my hand to walk on the dance floor, I'm just like, I can't breathe. I'm just literally, I felt this shock go through me. No one had held my hand in over 2.5 years. And here I am trying not to let him see that I'm falling apart into a million pieces. And I'm trying to just keep breathing. Something as simple as that, but every time it was a touch, a song, little things. I went through tons of tissues. I probably owe them cases of tissues. We used to just call them a free face wash. You know, they get a tissue and I'm like, no, I'm fine, free face wash. One of my dance instructors said, Janet, you are the only student I have ever had who can cry while dancing the tango. And it was all the time. That first year was, I couldn't stop. And he didn't have to be a trained therapist. He was a great dancer and he taught me how to move, to use the music, to fill that time with movement. And movement is healing. Movement is, it connects us in that physical, the emotional, the so many ways of not even knowing what's happening. And that connection with another living human being is huge. I think sometimes we forget to look someone in the eyes. I had a huge problem with proximity. Like, that was some, we worked through a lot of issues. But with him not being a trained therapist, he was extremely therapeutic in that sense of sometimes let's dance. Or sometimes it was me. He could see there was something wrong and it was like, do you want to talk? And let's dance. But it's like I couldn't talk, I couldn't deal with it. Let's dance. Right here, right now. That was enough. And I think so many times that part of that transformation is just that physical, emotional connection with another living, breathing person. And for me, the fact that he was Polish, just kind of like, yeah, thank you, Richard. He was my blessing. And it was, the dance floor became my sacred space. I could feel their presence. Literally, I could feel my daughter. I could feel my husband. And many times I just looked up and said, you drug me here, do something. I don't dance, do something. And that's really where the book came from. It was leading me through a journey I didn't even know I was on. And it did such, it was my pathway to healing at a time when the whole world had shut down on me. I never did go back to doing my hospice volunteering. That it has all changed. And I can't deal with the death in the same way. But I know that movement, and whether it's for some people, it's walking, it's jogging, it's going in nature. The courage to be seen is another part of it. And to be seen in our imperfections. I like control in my life. I like having, things my way. And all of a sudden, here I am, a crying mess. My hair is in, and it's like, I'm on a dance floor where people can see me and I don't know what I'm doing. To be give yourself permission to be seen in your imperfections is another big part of the healing. To know it's okay for people to see us as we are, and to embrace that part of us, that imperfect, unfiltered, and sometimes I was angry. A song would, I would just have emotions raging through me, and I didn't know where they were coming from. And I say that Shemek is such a patient person. God knew what I needed. He knew I needed so much more. There was something spiritual and transformational just in his presence.
Yeah. You're forever an inspiration to me, because I met you before all of this happened, when you were just the coach for people to film their loved ones before they passed, that kind of thing. And then all of that stuff happened, and we remained in contact. We continued to work together. But just the way, when you first joined the dance club, and you said, I'd never danced before, I don't even like it, but I'm gonna go, I'm gonna check it out. And then you were winning the competition after competition after competition, and you started after 70. That was quite amazing to me. And what a good job overcoming. They talk about wild animals overcoming a near-death experience by shaking. They shake all over and they release all that tension, all that cortisol from their body. And you do it through dance. I think that's kind of maybe a similar thing, to shake out all the grief from your body. But before we go,
yeah, that's interesting that you say that. Another area to explore, because there's certainly a physical aspect that's connected with the emotional and all of the other parts of it.
Yeah, before we go to the Q&A, I know that people here have a lot of questions for you because you're so interesting. But before we go to the Q&A, I would like to hear from Gerardo, who's also overcome debilitating depression. And he also did it, but he did it in a different way. And he got into more spirituality and shamanism. And yeah, so Gerardo, can you tell us how you did it? What was your way?
Yes, I will. So I wrote out what I want to say because I have a lot to say as always. I am in such a incredibly a beautiful position to be living in Oaxaca, the origin and the epicenter, right, for Dia de los Muertos, which is coming up right around the corner. And I've been living here many years. And so I've been living and breathing this holiday, which is the most important holiday of the year for me. It always has been, especially now also. I'd like to start with just a little bit of the history of Dia de los Muertos, and I'll go into my story, and I'll try and get through all of this as fast as I can. So I'm just going to read what I wrote. And as far as death, what I have learned is that death is not an issue, it's not a problem. It is how we approach death, right? So we have, of course, like the modern Western way of the perspective and our approach to death. But here in Mexico, as we see in Dia de los Muertos, it is, especially the indigenous roots, it's not viewed as something dark or something sad. It's something very beautiful. And so the problem is our perspective of death. So the true origins of Dia de los Muertos goes back thousands of years before the Spanish arrived, rooted deeply in indigenous Mesoamerican worldviews about life, death, and the cyclical nature of existence. Long before colonization, the people such as Mexica, which became known as the Aztecs, the Maya, the Purépecha, the Zapotec, and the Mixteca held elaborate ceremonies honoring death and their ancestors. They believed death was not an end, but part of a cycle of life, death, and birth. The spirits of the dead were seen as still present in the community, guiding and protecting the living, so never a separation. Rituals included offerings of food, copan incense, flowers, and personal items to help spirits on the journey in the underworld, known to the Aztecs as Mictlan. These ceremonies often occurred in the 9th month of the Mexica solar calendar, roughly around August, and lasted an entire month. So the indigenous used to celebrate this an entire month. So how much they revered death. The key deities honored during these festivals were Mictecacihuatl, These words are kind of hard to say, which is the Lady of the Dead, and Mictlantecuhtli, also hard to say, the Lord of the Underworld. These festivals were dedicated to deceased children and adults, respectively, and marked by offerings of food, flowers, especially marigolds, the gold flowers you see during the Day of the Dead festivals, and calaveras, skulls made of amaranth seeds. When the Spaniards arrived, the Spanish colonizers arrived in the 1500s, they brought Catholic traditions like All Saints' Day on November 1st and All Souls' Day on November 2nd. Instead of erasing indigenous beliefs in regard to these celebrations, the two traditions syncretized, fused, which means fused together. Indigenous rituals of honoring ancestors were merged with Catholic commemorations for the dead. The dates shifted to align with the church calendar. So now, Dia de los Muertos is November 1st and November 2nd. Over time, Dia de los Muertos became a deeply Mexican synthesis, neither fully indigenous nor fully Catholic, but a mestizo expression of reverence for life and death, with typical elements like ofrendas, altars with photos, candles, food, and marigolds, calaveras, symbolizing the beauty and inevitability of death, pan de muerto, bread of the dead, and La Catrina, which is the beautiful woman's skull with elaborate dress that you see all over Oaxaca during these celebrations. And that art was modernized by Jose Guadalupe Posada and Diego Rivera. So at its heart, Dia de los Muertos is about the connection between the living and the dead. It is a celebration, not a mourning, and acceptance of death as part of the cycle of existence. I got to live this process last year when my medicine woman, who is my maestra, my teacher, she inaugurated me a few years ago, worked with her and her husband for many years, and he passed away last year at this time. He passed away on October 21st. And so I was there in the village for the entire process of who was also an incredibly powerful shaman. I learned a lot from him, trained with him, he taught me so much. And he passed away on October 21st. And in tradition here, there is the day of the burial, followed by 9 days of mourning, where all the village comes together and feast every night as a celebration. Of course, there's some sadness, but such a beautiful process. And on the 10th day is the placing of the cross in the grave, which seals the whole process. The whole process is meant to guide the spirit into the underworld safely. And the day of the placing of the cross happened to be on November 1st, the first day of Dia de los Muertos. So the whole thing could not have been more, beautiful and timely. It's like, it felt like his soul chose to go out on that day because of all of the energy of Oaxaca. A few weeks before he passed away, my medicine woman, his wife, asked me to get him some mushrooms to take a journey. And he hadn't really fully realized, I think, that he was dying. And so I got him some fresh mushrooms, and it was during that journey that it took that he realized that he was dying, and he came to terms with it, accepted it, and it was exactly what he needed, to reach that acceptance and that fear of death. Not that he feared death, but it was just full acceptance. So, such an honor for me to be able to provide this medicine grown in these mountains for these shamans who trained me on his deathbed. Just wild. So that's a little bit about Dia de los Muertos and the implications and how important it is to me. My story.
I have a question.
Sorry.
Yeah. How did you, because you were in the same place where Dr. Janet was, in that depressive state where you only saw darkness and didn't see a point in moving on. Why would I drink coffee when there's no point? Why would I eat this when there's no point? From
Absolutely.
that spot, how does a person, and even you with all the beliefs, you didn't have this, some kind of atheistic belief or whatever. You knew that the ancestors were with you all the time, but yet you had this depressive experience. How did you overcome that?
Yeah, so when I was in my depression, so this version of me was born on the day that I ate the mushrooms, on December 22nd, 2017. This didn't exist. I was atheistic, and that was the problem. So I had, my previous life was completely different. I was married and had my own business. living a dream life, really, on paper, a dream ego-driven life. So I had everything that the ego ever wanted in my life. I did not believe in spirit and God, any of that. I rarely thought about ancestors. None of this existed. And so it all fell apart when I was separated from my wife, and so I got divorced. So right there, the foundation of my life crumbled, right? And then my father died a few weeks after that. And then I was having major health issues and I lost my business. I ended up losing all my money and everything, right? So everything I constructed, boom, gone, fell apart. And so I had depression and very, I actually had suicidal depression and suicide. I would absolutely be dead without a doubt if it wasn't for those mushrooms on that day. And I was getting there fast. It's really getting there fast. I don't know how much longer I would be lasting. And so that's
So
why.
how did the mushrooms, how did they help you? What happened? Like, how can mushrooms help that kind of a state?
Yeah, well, I like to say that mushrooms eat death for breakfast, which is quite literal because they do, right? They transform mycelium, they transform life, death into life. They are the transformers. The mycelial network is the basis for all existence, for all of life on this earth. And so they're transformative in physical nature, but everything has a spirit as well. Everything has a vibration. The spirit of the mushroom is a transformative spirit as well. So the psilocybin, of course, works with our brain. It's like the lock and key. And so what it does, now we have all the science in the world showing what it does on the physical, biological level, where it sort of wipes clean the perceptions that we develop over our life and the story, the narrative of our life is the ego. Our ego and our identity is a story, and it's built on top of itself. Wiring creates that story. So the mushrooms, the mycelium, go in there and wipe all of that clean in a way, and then create a window of neuroplasticity, it's called, where you can change perspective, thoughts, behaviors, patterns, everything, to create a new perception of life. And so that's how that works. And so from that day, it essentially wiped away and dissolved the depression which is the story that I had that had been going on in my life. Wiped it clean, quite literally, which, I'll go into detail in the book. That's why I wrote the book. Just gone in 2 hours, gone to never return again. Yeah.
That's interesting because I personally had, I probably told you this, I had an experience where during the big earthquake in Acapulco in 2021, I was terrified. Like, I'm not a frighty person. I don't get scared easily, but suddenly I was absolutely terrified. And then we had 300 earthquakes that very night. And I was just shaking, like somebody would touch the doorknob of the room and I would jump. Like, it was so like over the top. And I turned to somebody suggested that I turned to psilocybin to cure it. It was 3 days. I was so jumpy, like not jumpy doesn't give it justice. I was like extremely jumpy. Like my dog would touch my leg and I would jump, kind of thing, and I took the mushrooms and I went to the beach and I was mostly afraid of the earthquake and the tsunami and all that, stuff that comes with it. And I sat in front of the beach and the earthquakes were still happening. And I just understood that I cannot die unless it's my time to die. And when it's my time to die, I cannot not die. And there's no point in worrying about that thing that will happen 100% and will happen when it's supposed to happen and cannot happen when it's not supposed to happen. And that's what the mushrooms taught me in that moment. Like, there's nothing to be afraid of, because no matter what happens, you cannot die unless you die. And when you die, you cannot not die.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Well, and they, the technology of the mushroom, again, is the basis for all of life. So the technology infuses itself into your body, your subconscious, in a form far beyond the analytical mind, to where you understand that there is no death. This is a universal law, that everything that ends is a new beginning. This is wisdom that the mushroom infuses in you, and then you lose that fear of death, which is why so many people do lose the fear of death.
I mean, I
without
never had the
experiences.
fear of death before that. I never experienced the fear of death until the 300 earthquake day. And, you know, I was, I was like 50 already by the time. So I spent half a century not fearing death at all. And this was just shocking to me. I wasn't fearing death. It was just like, it was like a scary movie where they jump out from the corner every few minutes. You know, you get that kind of, I don't know. So
Was
even when
this
my dog would, huh?
was this earthquake on September 19th, like 2 years ago?
Yeah, 2021. So
Yeah, 2021. Oh, that's so funny you said that. I was actually in Mexico City on a rooftop when that happened. And that was, well, it's kind of interesting. It wasn't scary. The whole city was like, you know, the buildings were shaking. There was paint falling up. It looked like windows breaking. For a split second, I thought this could be it, because there's nothing I could do at that point, right? And I mean, it was all moving. And I thought, well, okay, this could crumble underneath me, and that's it. Like a thousandth of a second of fear, but then total acceptance and surrender. And the dominating thought in my mind was gratitude, that I have lived my life so fully since, you know, 2017, that I'm ready to go. That was wild.
well, can we go back for a minute to Dr. Janet, see if she has any comments after that wonderful presentation of yours, and then we'll open it up to the group.
I like to think we all have a date stamped on our backside. We can't see it, and no one can see it for us, but it's there. And when our time is up, it's up. And I do believe, probably a little bit of fatalistic thought there, but when it's our time to go, does not matter where we're at, what we're doing, who we're with, we'll go. We will know it, and we will go. And if it's not our time, hurricanes, tornadoes, airplane crashes, we're not going. It might get bounced around a little bit. We may get scared, but yeah, I do believe there's so much that we do not know, and trusting that it's like this: when we release our need to control everything and just trust that there is a certain amount of grace and protection, and we're being guided as we go through this. I like to think now, especially with all these deaths, that I have lots of guardian angels. I call on them a lot. For me, one of the bigger things was to be able to find my joy without bringing guilt into that. Because initially, I remember feeling, oh my gosh, how can I be happy when they died? How can it's like I've lost all these people and they're not here, and I'm supposed to be sad, and every part of me is sad, and all of a sudden I would smile. When my joy returned, initially that came with guilt. How dare I? How dare I go on? And I had been dancing 6 whole weeks when I opened up a little box of cardstock that my daughter had given me. She gave it to me a week before we knew she was sick, and along with some books. And it said communication cards, messages from heaven. And I know I've shared this with you. And it was in line with the type of books she would have given me. I opened up this little box of cards, and the very top one said, "Put on your dancing shoes and move." And again, we'd never talked about dancing. No one in our family did. And it was just like, oh my God. It felt like both her and my husband were giving me permission to live my life. It's okay, Mom, we're not coming back. It's okay. You can have fun. You can live your life. You can find your joy. It's okay to be happy. You can still remember your past. It will always be a part of you, but you are now becoming something that I like to just once in a while stop in awe and say, I wonder where this is going. I wonder if I can do this, if I can learn that. without needing to control it, without needing to even guide it sometimes. Just show up, be present, trust in the process, and knowing that this crazy, wonderful life that I'm a part of somehow has so many more working pieces than I don't even want to try and control, because I dance now not only for their memory, but for the me that I'm becoming, without knowing, why these particular people have been put into my life, for this music, for this studio. Just trust I'm where I belong. For now, this is great.
Nice. Well, let's turn to the audience. We have a few listeners here, and you can ask questions of any one of us, Gerardo, Janet, if you want, myself. I don't know, I'm kind of a background feature here, but you're welcome to.
When I run out of words, yeah, you can jump
that's
in.
not gonna
Doesn't happen.
But yes, well, what would you like to know about any of this process, or maybe you have personal questions to ask them? Yes, Dawn, go ahead. Oh, you're muted, Dawn. Sorry, we can't hear you. I made it easier for you.
Hey there, thanks. Yeah, I just kind of want to introduce, this is wonderful. I'm from Tepoztlan in central Mexico, where the next portal meeting is happening in March, and I'm going to be offering a keynote, a workshop on decision making, and probably a hike to the death where Quetzalcoatl was born. So I've been living here for 22 years, and I came here because the culture. I had a few visits and I was crying. I didn't want to go back to the materialistic culture. I wanted to stay where family and community were happening. And the glue that holds them together are the fiestas, my favorite being the Days of the Dead. And notice that I said days, not day, because it already started. We have a thing called the pericon, which is a flower, a yellow flower that's made into a cross like this and put on your doorway to keep the evil spirits out. There's a Day of the Dead for children. There's a Day of the Dead for pets, Day of the Dead for everybody. So this actually starts about a week or two before. There's many days of the dead. It's not just one day. And it's certainly not like Halloween. Most people here really don't like the idea of Halloween. They think it's robbing the culture. But I appreciate what the people have been through, because I myself, a long time ago, was in and out of mental hospitals 7 times. And when I finally came to a realization, you don't need to have people die to experience terrible loss and pain. I finally came to a realization that hospitalization was not going to help me, that people were there to make money. Why should they help me? If I left, they'd lose their job if enough people left. So I had to make a strong intention never to return. When you make a strong intention about something, Spirit steps in and starts offering opportunities that might have come before, but you didn't notice it because you didn't have the intention. Right.
Nice. So do you have a question for Dr. Janet or Gerardo? I mean, you're
Yeah, okay. Let me just say, Alan Watts talks about how different feelings or emotions are combined, like pain and ecstasy, or fear and excitement. Somebody, I think Gerardo, talked about fear, but I think the other side of fear is excitement, and they can be interconverted with a little bit of work. So that's one thing. The other thing
I agree with you on that. I think we think love and hate are opposite, but they're both strong emotions. The opposite of either of those is apathy, no feeling, nothing. Just, yeah. I hear what you're saying.
I'd like to see what Janet thinks about this. A couple of years ago, I took an online course on how to connect with your well-departed ancestors. It turns out this woman was a dancer, and she had us dancing just to shake loose from thinking so much and get into a static heart space. Do you find I think that when somebody's dancing, a different soul enters their body. That's my idea. Because I look at people dancing and their expression are very different from sitting around. You agree?
I love that. I don't know. I have more questions than answers, like more acceptance.
Right.
But that's very possible. It is, it's a different world. There's a different energy that I find. Music alone, regardless of the movement, the fact that there's something about maybe it's that shaking it off, shaking it off. I'm not sure, but there's something that is alive within us, and that memory is part of it. And those connections that may be with others, the ones we know, the ones we don't know of, that are part of us in whatever form that happens, in when and how we hear it, accept it. I think we are all becoming. We have our past, we have our memory, we have the what is. And we probably at this age, we've all survived some of those gifts we've been given. These celebrations of having survived our life in some ways, because we all have. We've all been through loss, we've all been through grief, we've all been through tragedy, and sometimes even good things can leave us discombobulated and in a different place. And part of this is navigating those waters and figuring out how do we blend it. In my book, I use the lighthouse many times because it not only has that stability that we all look for, but it also has that light, that beacon that no matter how far away, no matter how stranded we may feel, that light can connect us. It connects us to something bigger than us, something outside of us. And we feel, I mean, we tell our own stories in many ways, and the stories keep us alive. And I love the fact that we resonate with other people's stories, but we give meaning to our life through our stories. And I think that for me, the lighthouse, that beacon that comes from somewhere, from nowhere, and it's like, yeah, I'm a part of something bigger. These deaths that come and go, that shake up my world, necessary changes, if you will, they let me know that I've lived long enough in this state. And now I'm becoming something different. And I don't have to know what that is. I don't need to know exactly what that looks like. You know, they say set your goals and do all the action steps. But in reality, sometimes just trusting and believing and knowing that there's a divine choreography that happens here, and our rhythm comes and goes, the ebb and the flow. We find ourselves dancing through life in different ways. And the goal is to keep stepping out on that dance floor and taking one more step. And
Let me ask you and Gerardo a question, and then I won't talk to give other people
no,
a chance. This is a big question because if you didn't notice, the world seems to be going through a lot of death. The whole world, with all these mega crises that are happening. And there's a lot of grieving that people are not letting themselves do about it. And they're not looking to any kind of resurrection or reincarnation or what's going to happen if there's an apocalypse. If this, there's a zillion things we can talk about. If you look at the news, you'll see them all there. And people are not facing the music. Why not? And what can we do at a larger world scale of a collapse and rebirth?
We should have a portal panel about that maybe next month.
I have lots of thoughts on that, and yet I don't have any
And
expertise.
what to do at the individual level about all this going on. I bet Gerardo
Gerardo?
knows.
Yeah, I want to hear from
Yeah.
Gerardo. on this.
Yeah, I feel, I know very much so that the only way we can make any change is to turn inwards. We cannot change anything external outside of us. And in theory, if everybody did that, then we could have a better world by tomorrow. Of course, it's going to take a long time. It's going to take generations, hundreds, maybe thousands of years. But it's the only thing we control is ourselves and how we improve ourselves. And working with the universe, working with that natural law. I study Stoic philosophy and law. That's a big part of my book too. The dichotomy of control is something that every human being needs to understand. What you control, what you not control. You cannot control anything outside of yourself. And so by turning inwards and elevating yourself, healing ourselves, healing the generational trauma that manifests in things that are our issues, our personal issues, healing those so that we can raise our vibration, then we'll naturally, by the laws of physics, raise the vibration of those around us. This is, just a simple law of physics. That is the only way that is adherent to the laws of the universe. So really, that's kind of master lives. We can't. The only thing we can do is just prove ourselves.
Yeah, I have a strong feeling that this war that's happening right now, it's a war not on the outside, but on the inside, on your mind, on the programming inside your mind. And we have evidence, there is evidence that the world is changing. For me, it went from watching videos of people doing selfless acts and helping the homeless or helping the elderly or whatever. And just last week, it happened to my mom in real life. She was paying for something and the card system was down. She didn't have any cash, and some young man just paid for her groceries. So the world is changing from the underneath. Love is like mold. It's going to get you before you even know it.
And sometimes it has to swing far enough one way before that pendulum starts to come back. And I think we see that. I mean, that's a beautiful story with your mother. And sometimes it's the very simple things. We think that we need to force transformation, and yet we never do. We allow it. Viktor Frankl said it best in Man's Search for Meaning, where we can control how we react to situations. And yes, it's like we can control ourselves. Grace moves, in my world, it moves through the dancer as much as the dancer moves through life. It's that divine choreography between surrender and strength, between being led and learning to lead again. And I think we find that there's a transformation that unfolds probably not when we control it, but when we just surrender to the rhythm of it. And that's different for different ones of us. We know when it's time to say, you know what, let me just get through this. And then the next time you're the one that's stepping up and paying for the groceries, or you're seeing someone in need and you're saying, you know what, I can do this. I can't do everything, but I can do this. And within my control, let me be kind, let me be good, let me find that piece of me that has always been there. Even while I'm becoming someone different, something else, there's that inherent part of me that was part of my divine spirit when I was created. And I think we each have that.
Gerardo, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, I have had these epiphanies, insights, realization through many plant medicine journeys, which is why I'm such an advocate of plant medicine journeys. I do believe every human being on earth should journey and venture into these realms, because you can kind of understand the continuum of all of existence. So I see the wars and the divisions that are occurring on this earth right now as the physical manifestation of that battle within, our own battle with our ego. So we have this battle. Everybody does, the ego, it destroys your life. So you take that battle and multiply that by 8-9 billion people, and you have wars. So it's just the manifestation. So in that way, that's the theory that, okay, everybody needs to get better at this battle within so that it manifests into less division out there. Me battling my ego is the same as Ukraine battling with Russia. It's like two people. It just manifests out, and it starts at the core of consciousness in every individual.
Nice. Okay, anybody else have questions other than Dawn?
I throw out one question all the time and say, what if we don't need to do anything? What if we are enough? What if we give ourselves permission to find our joy, to let it come through us, knowing that it's there. This world has always been crazy. This world has gone through ice age, it's gone through death and famine and war and sickness. And oh, I see somebody here. Somebody
Megan,
new.
did you have a question? Megan? Oh, you're muted. Okay, good. Cool. Carlos, I saw you unmuted.
Hi, yes. I do have a question, and for both of you guys, because it seems like you guys had some different journeys.
You're a
and,
little quiet, Carlos.
It seemed like you guys had some different journeys in your transformation. So my question is, what surprised you most about your own process of healing, or maybe growth is another better term, after that experience of loss, or what you guys were going through? Like, what was surprising? Was it fast? Was it slow? Was it like a switch? Was it gradual?
It took way too damn long. But that would be me wanting to control it.
And was that the surprising part of the experience?
No, the fact that it happened at all is a surprising part. I did not want to be here. I did not want to be here. I had no desire at all. And to think that I would ever find joy again, be able to smile, let alone to be laughing and happy. And the fact that it happened at all without my control, I like to take control of most things in my life. And this was it was a gift that was
Wow.
brought into my life without me doing anything. And that's why I say grace. It was the grace that somehow brought me into a world that I didn't even know I needed to be into, and meet the people who are going to get me through this. So, and I continue to meet amazing, wonderful people. So,
Lovely.
yeah.
And
Awesome.
Gerardo, what about you?
For me, it was quite the opposite. I was astonished how fast it was. I mean, literally in 2 hours, depression healed,
Wow.
eradicated. The depression that was taking my life, I couldn't get out of for 10 months, which I tried therapy and antidepressants. I tried everything that I possibly could. And there was no getting out, so I gave up. And then here comes along this little mushroom, in 2 hours gone.
Surrender. Yeah, surrender to something.
Incredible. Yeah, and it is that connection to the higher power. I mean, that's what it is. Spirit comes through and says, hey, you are part of something grand.
You need mushrooms.
Yeah. Right.
We have some for you.
Exactly. Look what I've been growing for you since the beginning of time.
How it happened with me. So yeah.
Yeah. Oh, they work fast. They don't mess around.
Agnieszka, do you have any questions for us?
Thank you.
I would like to hear from the listeners first, because I've had some questions and you guys answered them. Sorry, Carlos, go ahead. You were a little quiet, but yeah.
Oh, I was just gonna thank both Gerardo and Janet. It's just good to see the contrast between, like, there's no one way, right? Like, transformation can happen, and it's just a beautiful answer you both gave. One of them, it was a slow process, but nevertheless, it was just as powerful. The other one just took 2 hours. So it's just good to hear the stories, and how, there's not one way specifically. There's many different options, and depending on where you're at, your situation, the people you're around, it seems like it's possible. So thank you.
I vote for the 2-hour one next time.
Absolutely.
You can come to Tepoztlan. We'll help you out.
I would suggest it. Well, I will be hopefully hosting a mushroom ceremony at the event.
Yes, absolutely. I just want to know if the rest, maybe other listeners, we have a few more people here. Do they have any questions or comments or?
Agnieszka, I'll ask a question. how am I coming in?
Good. I hear you.
All right, well,
I was just thinking your name was quite impressive.
sorry, I don't have a camera today. But I was in South Africa, and I had I was just on tour, but I ended up kind of witnessing a death celebration of a member of a Zulu family. And it really kind of was very similar to what I experienced in Mexico. I live in Acapulco, and I live here because I'm drawn to this place for many of the reasons that I think Geraldo and Don talked about, because I think that the culture does have a different perspective on death. And that's, I guess, my question is, you mentioned that there's been, like ancient civilizations and stuff have had a much different relationship with death than the modern society. And I see kind of a promotion of the fear of death practically everywhere I go. And then also the perpetuation of violence and almost this, kind of unreal, unnatural, kind of promotion of violence towards each other. What do you guys think about like the modern society and what it's actually promoting? And it's unnatural in my opinion. And how do we get away from that?
You want to answer first or me? Well, I believe knowledge is power. Knowledge is power, and all the ancient indigenous tribes and cultures have been very connected to Mother Earth, to Spirit, to Source. So we've always viewed death as what it is. It's an intrinsic part of life. And so it is this new modern Western mindset that fears death because we separate. And it's everything having to do with the illusion of separation, that whole thing about the ego. So all of it is false. All of it is, and then we take these ideas just as at face value, and then we just adopt the fear behind it. So knowledge is power. Really understanding what death is can erase that fear. Really understanding, and not only erase the fear, it like the indigenous cultures, you can have deep reverence for that, understanding that by definition, literally, without death, life would be inconsequential. If it wasn't for death, nothing would be special. And by definition, it is death that gives life meaning, that creates life. So understanding these things, understanding how we need death, and also retraining ourselves to, of course, we're going to go through grief. We're going to go through loss, but we don't have to be surprised by it. We don't have to get blindsided by, oh my God, I lost this person, when we know, of course, that everybody dies. It should never be a surprise. And we can use that. One of the main reasons I love Stoic philosophy so much is you can use that so that we can live fully every single day. I actually, when I started studying Stoic philosophy and writing my book, I got this coin. The lights went out here. I think it's the power outage or something. But anyways, this coin here that has a skull on it. And it's the idea of memento mori, which is the ancient Greek practice of remembering our mortality. And on the back, it has a quote by Marcus Aurelius that says, you can leave life right now. And the full quote is, you can leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think. And so you retrain yourself every day that I could die tomorrow. I could die right now. And that is the most real fact that there is. And so in the modern Western thinking, we don't think that way when we know that is the truth. So it's knowledge is power, and it's just retraining ourselves using death to live fully every single day. You know, and then when you're on the rooftop Mexico City and you know, you think you're gonna die, you know, hey, you've lived fully, so there's nothing to fear. Yeah.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. But I also decided, oh, maybe 20 years ago, 15 years ago, that I'm going to live till 150 because the whole world giving you pressure, the whole world giving you pressure to, you're going to die at 70, you're going to die at 80, you're going to die. There's no point in starting a second career. You're already too old. You're 36 or whatever. There's all these messages, right? So if I make a powerful statement, I am going to live till 150. I'm going to plan my life. I'm going to expect to have a fulfilling life until 150. Then it doesn't matter what day I die, because every single day I wasn't too old for nothing because I was still planning for my 150 lifespan. Does that make sense?
Love it.
Nice. Janet, you're muted if you're talking to us. And that was totally me. I muted you.
I can chime in just quickly and thank everyone for the comments and sharing. It's very meaningful. I mean, the topic is always important, and the culture is so messed up around death. It's closer and closer to me. I just lost my father, and you know, if it hadn't been for a mushroom, and it was like kind of a random decision because I haven't really used them very much. I'd gotten some in Acapulco, and I had them in my fridge, and I had been harboring an anger towards my father. And I took this mushroom, and I just had this very quick revelation that I am of his essence, that he is me and I am him, and why sort of get bogged down by minutia and resentments. Just all was forgiven. And I got in my car and I drove to his deathbed, and I was there for his last breath. And I am so glad that that happened. And I really attribute the mushroom to that turnaround. So, and then I also appreciated Janet's comments about the dance, because whenever I dance and whenever I sing, there is something different that's coming through me. There's something elevated, something maybe even exalted, and I can see that people see that, and I'm just so amazed that this is not our daily diet of discussing these miracles that are at our hands or at our fingertips. So I just appreciate the reminder to dance more. I'm going out to dancing. I'm in Atlanta, and I'm going out on Saturday night. I have plans, and I guess that's maybe not a coincidence. Who knows? But I'm just happy to be here. I wanted to just chime in, however briefly. And gracias.
There's no such thing as a coincidence. You know that.
Beautiful.
Okay.
Beautiful.
Anybody else? Noelle, did you have a comment or a question?
Hello. Forgive
Hi,
my
Noelle.
kitchen. I'm in the middle of cooking dinner.
Nice.
Yeah, this conversation kind of hits me kind of hard because I'm still processing a death that I had that was like sudden and traumatic and like completely pointless. So yeah, and now I'm considering maybe taking some mushrooms to process it.
I highly
But
recommend both of the books, Noelle. Both the From Death to Dance is an amazing book. Translating it was an honor, honestly. But also Gerardo's book, I have both those books and I love them. So I highly recommend, you know, both of them have nuggets that you would find very useful.
yeah, I'll definitely have to check them out. Yeah, it's given me a lot to think about.
Nice.
But yeah, thank you guys for sharing your stories.
You're welcome. Nice to have you here.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Anybody else we haven't heard from yet today? Mr. JP. And we were just joined by John Alder. I believe that's someone who's been to these events before. Hi, John.
Agnieszka, I just wanted to comment on something that you said here in the forum that you had said to me a couple of days ago, and it really resonated for me about when it's your time, you'll go, and when it's not your time, you won't. My personal situation is that I am going into hospital next Tuesday for an operation, and they say there's a 95% survival rate, which is pretty good. So I figured it was good odds, but that also means there's a 5% non-survival rate. And I've come to terms with that. And I have been doing a lot of meditating and manifesting the certainty of how my life is unfolding. And I see that I still have a lot of work to do. So I'm quite sure that my time is not yet ready to shuffle off this mortal coil. But I appreciate your putting it out there like that, because that is a certain degree of comfort.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I didn't learn it. It was given to me. It was wisdom given to me from the outside, from the mycelium mother.
And I have a question for both Janet, Dr. Janet, and Gerardo. Where can we find? I posted some of the websites. I just want to ensure that I have the right ones. Do you guys mind sharing where we can find more about your work, your books, your website?
Yep, that's the right website for me, takingbackmymind.com. So that's the title of the book, Taking Back My Mind. And on that website, I have all my information. My retreats, ceremonies, the book, projects. Yep, one-stop shop for me right there.
Dr. Janet, you're muted again.
Unmute. Okay, can you hear me now? You may have to
Yes.
share it.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah.
Mine is just the name, and my books are on Amazon. The last one is From Death to Dance, one person's journey from the darkness and despair of death to the lightness and joy of dance. Another one that ties in with preparation for an intimate death is I'm Sorry, I Love You, Goodbye, Harvesting the Sacred Gifts of the Final Days. So if you have a death that you are pretty sure is coming soon, that's a real helpful tool has a lot of tools in to use. And I just wanted to say thank you to everyone before we get cut off. I really, really enjoyed this.
And Dr. Janet, before you leave, I see here a www.drjanetb.com. Is that the website?
That is an old website.
Oh, which one's the new one again? So
there is no new one.
I just shared in the chat both the Amazon store link for Dr. Janet and the Facebook page that she uses. So she's active on the Facebook page, so you can find her there. You want to message her or whatever. But on Amazon, that both of her books are there, and I've read them both, and they're good. They're good.
They're easy reads.
Nice.
We're going to be dancing in March, right?
Definitely, you're going to be leading the dancing.
They got country western going up here now.
All right, we're gonna have to wrap up pretty soon. We probably have only a few minutes. We usually go a little bit over an hour, but I know Gerardo has like a time limit on his space. He's in, and Dr. Janet probably does too, because she's in a conference room as well. Somebody might need it. So I really want to go for a last round of questions, comments, suggestions, thank yous, or whatever. Oh, Don just shared his own website as well. Thanks, Don. Wonderful.
I just wanted to say that, was it Don who said he had a 5% chance of having a negative outcome on medical procedure?
JP.
That was
me.
Okay, just so you know, you probably have that same rate just getting to the hospital.
Yep.
You know, we're not promised tomorrow. Live it, enjoy it, make the best of it.
Yep.
Dance while you can. In whatever way that comes out of you.
Nice.
Dance like there's no one watching, sing like there's no one listening, and love like you've never been hurt before.
Oh, yeah. I've done that a few times. It looks bad. I'm gonna just step out here and see if, oh, got a break back here. I see. I'm gonna sneak out of here. So, any last questions? If not, this has been absolutely wonderful. I've enjoyed it a lot.
We'll do it again in the future.
We will. So, thank you. Bye, everyone.
Thank you, Janet.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Thank you, Gerardo.
Yeah.
Muchas gracias, señor.
Thank you, everybody. This is wonderful.
Thank
Hope
you,
to see
partner in
everybody in
crime.
March. Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks.
Step through the